So let's talk about owning your negativity. So what I'm talking about is any negative thoughts, behaviors, or actions that you do, whether consciously or subconsciously, that can contribute to a negative situation. So when we're working magic, we want to create things to happen. We want the world to act in accordance with our will. So what we're trying to do is manifest certain situations. Now, we can say, I want X as much as we want, but there are plenty of reasons why we don't have that thing yet. Could that be because of a different person and their influences and whatnot? Yes, but a lot of things are because of our own influences and what we do to screw it up. And otherwise, it hasn't happened yet. In one of my courses on Udemy, I do talk about how we manifest stuff all the time. You know, you want to go get a glass of water, you get a glass of water. You go to an event thinking you're going to have a bad time. You have a bad time. You know, you think you're going to be late for work, so you get anxious, and then you slow down, and guess what? You're late for work, right? You get nervous about something, about some, presentation or doing a task or something, and being nervous like that screws you up. And in any of the situations with magic, there's basically anything that we do, there's an interpersonal interaction, because humans are social creatures. We really don't do anything alone. And if you are trying to change your situations with another person, like you're trying to eliminate negativity or something between you and someone else, or you're trying to banish a certain person or whatever, there are probably reasons why those situations keep happening that you contribute to. So I'm talking about sometimes we act, we act unconsciously a whole ton of our lives because our brains are just pattern machines. So we effectively run on autopilot a lot. And one of the big purposes in magic is to make the subconscious conscious so we can change those thoughts, patterns, and behaviors. So you really got to think of, what are my negative thoughts, patterns, and behaviors, right? So when you're planning a spell for whatever it is, you want to think of what it is, what's the problem, what you are trying to manifest, the phrasing of your intent, which is going to program the energy that you are going to manipulate, raise, and send out during your spell work, and then think about why it hasn't happened yet, right? Because there's always this acting in accord thing that comes into play after you do your magic rituals. So you want to think about how you have contributed to this situation, how you have contributed to screwing it up. So when it comes to acting in accord, you got to think, okay, when I'm done with this magic that I'm doing, and I go back out into the real world and I face that situation that I'm trying to change for the better, magic is already behind you. Magic is pushing you in that direction that you have pushed the energy towards. Magic is a helper. Magic is effectively, arguably, and don't mince my words on this, magic is not a doer. We are the conduits for the magic that we raise. So magic can't just instantly change something just because we did a ritual last night, right? And everything's all good now. No, acting in accord and letting that energy flow through is what we have to do. So you got to think about, okay, what are my behaviors in that situation I'm trying to change that I allow it to happen? Maybe you're a doormat, that I contribute to happen. Maybe you jump to conclusions, or you argue quickly, or you're a little hot-headed, or you don't speak up for certain things. Whatever that negativity might be, you got to think about how you want that change to occur, because the magic will help something change, right? But you also need to change. So magic, we want something external or internal to change. And in this case, in most cases, 90-something% of them, there has to be an inner change. And doing that magic is going to give you that level up when it comes to doing that interior change. But it's like it opens the door for you, but you have to walk through it. So you really got to take an inventory of the negative behaviors that you do that are constantly contributing to these situations that you go into that you step into your temple for to create magic to change. So anything that we do that contributes to that situation or attracts it, magic is going to help us change that. But we have to consciously be aware of, when I go into this situation, I normally do blah, and that doesn't help. So I have to do blah instead. So you really got to think around corners when it comes to what you need to do and what you need to change, because a lot of negativity in our lives, as much as tons of people don't want to say it, it comes from us. Just because you have a problem doesn't necessarily mean it's 100% the other person's fault. I've had difficulty with family members, and it's because I have fed into it by welcoming those arguments and challenging them or something like that. And that's the negativity that I had to change around. And then they followed suit, because when you send out a certain kind of energy, then metaphysically speaking, you are attracting that same kind of energy. So any negativity that you have inside, whether it's resentment or different actions that you take subconsciously, you jump to anger, whatever it is, you are calling that in, and then you're like, I don't like that. I want to change that. I'm going to do a spell to fix that problem. That requires changing your negative stuff too. Negativity doesn't just come from the outside. It's like the whole "it takes two to tango" thing, right? So I think I'm going to step off my soapbox now when it comes to this stuff, but let me know what you guys think about this topic. What kind of negative stuff that in your lives have you had to change, and how have you specifically had to change yourself in order to make those changes occur? Let me know down in the comments. I'd be interested in hearing your responses. Good hunting. Thanks for checking out my video. If you want to learn more from me, I have a lot of classes on Udemy. You can find the links to a lot of those in the description. You can also find me on Facebook at Magickology YT. You can email me at priestofthenecro@gmail.com, and you can even check out my Instagram, which is Magickology. And good hunting.